In this video, we're going to explore the repeat tool, and that's located up here kind of close to the text tool, and you can see this little grid pattern here. That's the repeat tool. It's really easy to work with and simple, and I just have this design right here. It's a little strawberry. I took it from the custom shapes and just converted it to a run stitch, and I'm going to select it now, and I'm going to come up to the repeat design, and this will work with anything that you select. So you could select something that has multiple pieces. It can be any type of a design. It could be 2 or 3 different objects. Whatever it is, it'll work, and it will put it in a repeat pattern. So it doesn't have to be one single object is what I want to make sure you understand with it. So let's go ahead and click the repeat design tool, and you'll see that by default it brings it up as a 2x2, and you can see that there's no spacing between it. Everything kind of lines up together, and you can also see the output size down here. It says 1.42 by 1.94. This is what you'll want to keep in mind when you're working with this, is your hoop size and how big and how large you can go. If you don't see this in inches and you see it instead in millimeters, you'll want to come up to your ruler on the design page, which you would close out of this, right mouse click and make sure you select inches right there. So right click on the ruler, select inches, and that way you can see it in inches if you want to. Let's go back into it. And so I keep an eye out on this. It tells me what the pattern size is. It's like 0.71 inches. That's like the largest part of it. And so let's just explore a little bit. If I want to make something that will fit, let's say within a 8x8 area, I can just keep clicking this until I'm paying attention to this output size right here, until I get to the point where it goes over, like right there, it goes over 8 inches. The other thing you have to keep in mind is we'll look at the distance between each. If you want more space, you want to put that space between them first. But now let's do the same thing for the height. Let's just click the up arrow, and I'm just looking at this 2.91, and it goes to 3.87, 4.84, 5.81, 6.71, 7.75. I know that when I click it again, it's going to be up to 8.72. So I can come down one more, and you can see that it put all of them to fit within an 8x8 area. This could be used for, like I mentioned with in the previous video with the fling repeat, you can actually use this for decorating like a quilt block or making your own fabric, background fabric. It can be really kind of a neat effect that you can do when you're working with like a run stitch type design. But like I said, it works for anything. So now let's take a look at the next two things. We have horizontal distance and vertical distance. So I can add space between. If I want there to be 0.25 inches, I can hit apply, and you can see that for the horizontal space, now I have 0.25 inches between each. I could do the same thing for the height. If I do 0.25 inches, it's going to put more space between these right here. So you can see that you can easily do that, and you can have a different amount. You can have, because you saw that had 0, I could have like 0.1, 0.10, and click it, and you can see that I have more distance horizontally than vertically. And that's just kind of how this works. More space, this is horizontally, less space vertically here. So that's how this works. I'm going to put this back at 0 and 0. I want it to like kind of cover the whole area. I'm going to hit apply again, and it's going to bring it back. But I guess before I do that, let me go ahead and put this at 0.25 and just show you that now I'm at a 10.3 by 9.5. So if I want this to fit within an 8x8 hoop, I'm going to have to modify the numbers across, and I can do that at any point. I can hit the down arrow, and it's 9.34. Down again, it's 8.38. Down one more time, and it's 7.42. So I know that that's how many I can have across, and then I just do the same thing and get it down to where it fits in that area. So just keep that in mind, that you can do it at any point. And let's just go ahead and get this back up to where I can fit the most amount in there when they're butting up against each other. So now let's go down one and go to the options. Now we can go the distance between centers. I don't typically do this. It's based off of the center of the design. It will space it based off of the center point of it. And I don't feel like it's necessary, but you can do that, and you can see that it's giving you the distance here from center. So if you needed it to be exactly you needed it to be exactly 1, let's say you could do that and hit apply, and it's going to change that. So just something to keep in mind. You can do that if you would like to. Auto resequence by color is similar. If you have 2 different colors in the design, it'll bring it in so that all of one color stitches first and then all of the next color stitches second. So it'll automatically do that, so you don't get a bunch of things in your sequence view here that's like every other color. That can be kind of it can kind of drive you crazy a little bit. So this auto resequence by color is automatically checked. It's a great feature to have. Now you can offset every other by a percentage. You can offset every other by a row. You can flip every other horizontally, and you can flip every other vertically. So let's just see what that does. If I do flip horizontally, I don't think I'm going to see much of a difference. See, I don't see anything because it's a very symmetrical design. But if I do flip every other vertically, look at what happens. So every other one is now going the opposite direction. And it's kind of a neat effect that you can do. I can uncheck that. Offset every other. This is something that I don't typically do. But you can see that what it will do is every other is going to be offset, as you can see there. If I turn that off, go put that back to 0. Offset every other row. That's something you can do too. Let's just do a 50 here and do apply, and you can see that it's offsetting that row a little bit. So you can get some, different looks. You might want to utilize this because you might want to string them together a little bit, to kind of keep going with something. And this might be a good way of doing that. But that's just what it will do every other row. It'll offset it by the percentage. So if I make that 75 and hit apply, you can see it's going to go even more over every other row will. So that's how you can kind of work with the repeat design. There's a lot of options. You might be thinking of something that you want to do just looking at what these features will do. And so you want to play around with that. I'm going to do the flip every other vertically, and then I'm going to hit OK, and that's going to load it into the software. And you'll notice that it has each one right there. The only other things that you might want to do is if I take this off 3D view, you can see there's all sorts of jumps and everything going on. This is when I will come in and I will actually do a resequence, like an auto sequence right here. And then once that does that, you can see how it's going here. I'll also do an auto entry exit. And watch just what this does. That just cleans it up. There's not all these jumps going on because it's already resequenced the design so that when it sews out, it's going to be very methodical about it. It's not going to have jumps. And so it's just going to go continuously. It's very nice to have that feature because that would take forever to resequence that design and change all the start and end points so that it can do that. So utilize these features right here, the auto sequence and auto optimize entry exit. They are great when you're doing things like this. So that wraps it up for the repeat design tool. In the next video, we'll explore corners repeat.